everybody want to do their good fake laugh before we get started?
No.
1, 2, 3.
No, I hate it. Oh my god, I felt so uncomfortable.
It was the tinkling of bells.
I
that was
hated
great.
it.
That's just our intro.
That's not really my fake laugh. I don't know what it is.
Oh, okay. You can't do it.
You black out when you fake laugh. Your memory just erases it.
I don't need alcohol.
That.
Just give me a shitty man with a terrible sense of humor, and then it'll be a good night.
Oh no! What if you did like just really obviously fake laugh when you're doing that? When like a dude's telling you bad jokes,
they don't notice. They don't notice. I dare you to try.
That was a dolphin laugh.
They go around and they tell everybody
notice.
like, she has a fucking dumb laugh, dude. I was like making her laugh really hard, but I was like, this is a terrible laugh. Like, wow.
It made me not want to be funny anymore.
Oh my, like, that's not even, like, it's not even funny because it's something that would really happen.
That's why I hate comedy open mics, because we courtesy laugh enough. I don't need to do it with some
I do courtesy
laugh.
I courtesy laugh because I don't have the balls to do that. So I'm like, oh god, like I kind of feel bad.
Also,
and then
it's way more awkward for all of us if they just perform and nobody laughs. So somebody's got to do
and
it.
They get mad.
Somebody's got to like take one for the team. I hope no one's fake laughing at us because
that'd be weird because we aren't even listening to you. Send us your fake laughs.
No, please don't.
If it's not a good look, why do I wear it so well? Pardon me, I mistook your pretty face for someone else, but you just have to do, because you see it's getting late. It's a bleak point of view that keeps the guilt from off my plate.
unless you're fake laughs, this is not your final girl. A podcast about horror from an intersectional feminist perspective is what we're saying right now.
That's what we're saying right now.
That's what we're saying right now, but who knows? Maybe someday we'll be super chauvinist.
Yeah.
Gotta keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Heel
I'm
turn.
Candace. I'm hanging out with Ariel and Gaby. Ariel and Gaby, say your names.
Gaby.
Ariel.
Nice. Today,
it's like
we're
an
gonna...
80s intro video.
Yep.
And I'm Ariel.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the vibe I'm going with.
Okay, sorry. I'm here. I'm ready.
Yeah, you're here for it. You're
I'm in
into it. So today we're talking about horror comedy, but like a really specific subgenre of it because horror comedy is the biggest genre ever, and we're probably going to do 8,000 episodes on it.
It's also my favorite subgenre of horror.
Yeah, horror comedy rules, and so we have to take it real slow-like and talk about lots of horror comedy. But today, I guess the ones we're talking about kind of fit into, like, female body horror comedy, is what we kind of decided.
Yeah.
We watched Slither, and we watched Teeth, and we watched Prevenge, which are movies from, 2006?
Slither was 2006.
Based on the highlights in Nathan Fillion's hair, I'm gonna guess it's wrong.
Yeah, that was my guess, too.
Teeth was 2007. Prevenge, I want to say, was 2016 or 2017.
2016.
Okay.
That's the newer one, yeah.
Yeah.
We all really like Slither. I think everybody who's ever seen Slither probably really likes it.
It's just great. The acting is pretty good. The accents
are
not.
Threw me immediately. Like, Elizabeth Banks is immediately like, oh, I'm Southern. Yeah. And I was like, oh no.
Yes.
And then Nathan Fillion shows up and he's like, oh, I'm Southern.
You're like, no, you're not.
It's everyone. Like, please, no.
We're all Southern.
I guys want to recap this, give someone a brief recap in case someone hasn't seen it?
Yeah, so what is it? A meteor falls to Earth containing tentacle porn type,
just tentacle porn.
Alien.
Containing
containing the concept of tentacle porn, unleashing it upon the Earth. And this small southern town in which Elizabeth Banks' shitty, abusive husband gets tentacled. He's the first to succumb to tentacle porn.
Yes.
And he becomes a creepy tentacle porn monster that then is, like, infecting the whole town. And then it turns into kind of a zombie movie.
Yeah.
Towards the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like zombies, but there's a head zombie.
There's a head, so it's hive mind. It's kind of the
hive
Blob.
mind.
If you've seen the Blob,
Yeah.
it reminded me of that a little bit.
Yeah, it's like creature feature zombie movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It mashes a couple stuff together, a couple things.
Until this year, I had just been regarding it as like, that's a movie that's probably really good, and I should get around to watching it sometime.
Mhm.
And then I started watching it and was like, this is a 13-year-old movie. 14 years old.
Yeah.
Like, oh no. Like,
Oh.
this came out when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And all this time I was like, oh yeah, that's the kind of new movie that I should check out sometime.
And you thought
It
that
just
the
stuck that
entire
way in my
time.
brain
Mhm.
for like 14 years.
It's been in there for like a decade and a half.
Yeah, it
and
has
you're-
been ruminating.
Yeah.
So I finally watched it, and it is pretty good.
It's fun. I forgot that James Gunn directed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a fun surprise for me.
It's genuinely really funny. I laughed a lot at it.
Yeah.
Which I think is maybe a lot of horror comedy I don't necessarily
You're just like, haha.
actually think is funny. Yeah, I'm like, oh, I appreciate this is making a joke.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. I think horror comedy, part of the reason it's such a broad genre is because there's a lot of room to veer. Like, it could be more of a comedy, like Shaun of the Dead, or it
Right.
could be more like straight horror with comedic elements. So this one, it does it both. It does both really well, I
It's
think.
a really good balance because there are moments where I was like, some jump scares got me,
Mhm.
and then there were times where I was like, oh my god, that's like fucking disgusting.
I love the gross
it's
out
Yeah,
stuff.
it was
grossed out
so gross.
much.
Great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, when-
Yeah. You could call it also, like, I mean, it's like body horror.
Yeah.
It's probably, I guess, it is female body horror, I'd say, like, more than male, even though the main monster person is a man. Just because so much of the tentacles is focused on women. And if you've ever seen the poster for it, like, this was basically all I knew about it before was that it has a bathtub with a
Mhm.
girl
The
in
bathtub
it
scene.
with some creepy slugs kind of heading toward it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
bathtub scene is fucked up.
Yeah, that was a good one with the little sluggies.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it has like a straight up like zombie movie ending too.
Yeah.
Not to like really spoil a
Mhm.
ton, but it doesn't end like a comedy, I would not say.
No, it definitely ends with that kind of classic zombie thing where like, okay, like we survived it, but now what?
It's weird to like think about anything in this film as serious because it is like a silly and fun movie, and that's primarily why I liked it. But I was thinking a lot this time because I had watched it probably like 5 years ago for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and really liked it, and then watched it again for this episode. And I was thinking about the weird relationship, like trying to figure out what that was between Elizabeth Banks' character and Michael Rooker's character, where he sucks, like, genuinely, but it feels like she's not actually, like, fully aware of the fact that he sucks, like, throughout the entire film. Like, when he's not a monster, and then even when he is a monster, there's that weird...
Yeah, when he is, I mean, we were commenting on this because, like, the cops come and ask her, you know, if she's seen him, and she hasn't, but she kind of, like, lies for him. Like, she, you know, is kind of like, oh, yeah, he's just, like, gone to the store real quick or something, you know? I don't remember exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But it's like, she definitely, like, points the
covers
cops
for him.
away from him,
Mhm.
and then immediately goes inside and busts the padlock on the door that he's been keeping locked mysteriously for days.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, as we were watching it, Shandon was like, man, that's a down-ass wife. She just lied to the cops.
She is.
And I was like, I would lie to the cops for you. And he was like, yeah, but what if I was keeping a padlock on a door mysteriously in the house that we live in? And I was like, I would lie to the cops and then I would go bust the padlock.
Do the
That's
exact
how
same
you
thing.
do it.
Yeah, that's being a good partner.
Yeah.
We're just here to take you to get some help. Right now. And I'm gonna stay by you. Just like I swore I would. For better or worse.
Much fucking worse.
Yeah, she is an excellent partner to this man who sucks.
Yeah.
He's rabidly jealous of everyone.
Yeah, but he's
Before he
also
turns.
cheating on her.
Yeah, well, that
Which
was...
is how
that
he
was-
gets...
It's almost
caught
an
up by the
STD kind of
tentacles.
thing, right? Like a weird STD metaphor in a way.
Actually,
Yeah, that's true.
The Slither,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sticking by it's being a
tentacle porn.
tentacle porn metaphor, yeah.
The messiah of tentacle porn.
Mhm.
Oh no. Let's not do that, please.
No, this is what happens when your husband gets addicted to tentacle porn.
It's a PSA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And then soon the neighbor girl's getting addicted to tentacle porn, and Nathan
It's how
Fillion,
Nate's a
It's a
Fillion
slippery
the whole
slope.
police department.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is. You know the voice, Pat just told me today that the voice of the doctor, when she calls the doctor, it's Rob Zombie.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Fucking Pat would know that.
He would know that.
That's so funny.
It's a fun little Easter egg.
Yeah.
Good job, Rob.
But it was super fun. Just general, like, I think anybody would enjoy this unless they have, like, a really weak stomach and they don't like kind of gross out stuff. But it's really funny. It's fun. It's genuinely creepy too.
Yeah.
Like, especially once the hive mind kind of makes itself apparent. You're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, there's some really scary stuff. Also, because it takes over it like worms into everybody's brain. In the town, they all like become this guy, and so then all of them are like crazily pursuing Elizabeth Banks, which is kind of funny. There's just people like zombified, like kind of lumbering through the streets, like Starla.
Yeah,
which is
pretty good.
Extremely creepy towards the end.
It does get very, very creepy. I also, the one thing that kind of stands out was when, I think it was the teenage daughter, like, the slug hasn't taken over completely, but, like, in, like, 3 seconds, like, they tell the entire worm's story.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're like, oh yeah, like, he just, like, comes and fucks shit up, and then he leaves. Like, that's his business. You know, like, that's what he does. He comes, he fucks shit up, and he leaves.
Yeah, it is. It's like a Contagion movie too.
Yeah, it is. And that's a great way to do exposition. Yeah, it wasn't boring. It was just a visual storytelling mechanism. That was nice.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, and we've kind of talked about this, but I feel like it kind of mirrors like how a really shitty toxic relationship goes. You know, that like she's been ignoring all this stuff until it's gotten to the point where he's so disgusting that she literally can't ignore it, and he's, like, chasing her through the streets and whatever, and she's eventually forced to make a decision about it.
I like that. I hadn't really thought about that. And then you could also think about how, you know, the townspeople, I mean, maybe this is pushing the metaphor too far, but I like to push the metaphor too far.
Yeah.
And in that situation, if someone's in a bad relationship, I feel like a lot of times the people around you that don't know the ins and outs of it that well,
right? They
actually give you terrible advice, right? And they're like, "Oh, I'm sure you'll work it out."
Yeah, well,
no,
he's
a piece of shit,
right? Like somebody like who, like everybody likes on the outside.
Yeah,
yeah, I know. I think that there is something like that in there.
I like that.
I feel like it is kind of how when you get out of a really shitty relationship, sometimes it just kind of tears your whole world apart.
Yeah, and it feels like it could be totally a different person than the one that you originally fell in love with. So it's an alien possessing that person, and it's fun. I think it's a fun way to think of it.
Both a tentacle porn movie and a movie about shitty, toxic relationships.
Yeah.
It is interesting because then, though, of course, easily, effortlessly, Nathan Fillion does get the girl at the end.
Yeah.
But she does stick by her guy, like, the whole time. Like, there's never, like, any, like, explicit they're getting together or they're not. It's just, like, everyone else is decimated and they're walking away. Right? Or
no, they kiss, dude.
Do they?
They get together.
I don't remember.
I blanked it out. It was, like, not important to
me. It's not, and I don't think it's important in the film. I think it's because they're doing a certain type of film and it's almost a parody film in a way. Like, I don't think there's any sort of commentary to be made of it.
Also, if Nathan Fillion were around me in any capacity, I'd probably make out with him.
Yeah.
Sorry to say. Even if he had bad chunky highlights.
It's fine. He's fine. It's all fine.
He's fine.
He's fine. Yeah.
Now we are the hive mind.
Yeah. No, but what I was telling Candace that if I ever saw him in real life for any reason, I'd be like, hey, the guy from Slither, and I think he'd get a kick out of that because there's so much other, like, important shit he's been in.
Yeah.
Like Firefly or like Castle for Old People or whatever.
Castle for Old People.
My mom loves Castle.
Yeah, see? Series. And your mom's older. Yeah. So I'd be like, hey, the guy from Slither. I think that would be great.
Yeah, that was a fun role to see him in. Yeah. For sure.
We're coming for you, Nathan.
There is something inside of me that's lethal. Dentata.
What?
It's Latin for teeth. It's what's inside me.
We want to talk about teeth.
I always want to talk about teeth.
Gaby is constantly talking about teeth.
This is Gaby's film.
Yeah, I'm a dental hygienist. And
oh yeah, Gaby, do you have like extra insight on this, I bet.
Yes. My boyfriend was asking me about it. He's like, can that happen? And I'm like, not really. But there's something called an odontoma, which is like a tooth tumor.
Okay.
So you can have like tooth material in a different part of your body.
It's hideous.
It doesn't happen too frequently or anything, but I mean, it clinically, just scientifically doesn't hold up. It's just a myth, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's the closest thing that I can...
You could have teeth in your vagina, but it wouldn't be able to bite anybody.
Exactly. It would just be like tooth matter floating in like a cyst in your...
That's disgusting.
It's fucking gross. Yeah.
Tooth matter.
Tooth matter.
I like that.
Yeah.
Tooth matter.
Tooth juice.
That's what the movie should be called. Tooth juice.
That's what I clean all day. Tooth juice.
No, I mean, we're getting into the spirit, because teeth is, like, very gross.
It's very gross and very graphic.
I don't think it was graphic enough.
You're
absolutely disagree.
Right, because, like, the first
I needed
time...
more dicks.
Yeah, the first time I watched it, I was watching it with a group of people who were only interested in seeing dicks get bit off.
But I also wanted to see the vag, guys. Is that bad? Does that make me terrible?
No, it doesn't at all.
No, I want to know which level of vagina the fucking... Where are the teeth?
The fact that they like made the vagina like such a taboo, and that like...
And then she didn't show it?
I kind of think she doesn't once look at it.
She doesn't.
She does.
Does she?
There's a scene where she has a mirror.
Oh.
Do you remember?
Does she get the mirror?
Is that after she
get
takes
the mirror?
stick?
Yes.
Oh, we should recap? Sorry.
Yes.
We should probably talk about...
Teeth is about a very conservative girl who is kind of exploring her sexuality a little bit, but she's very ashamed of it. And she's very
Christian.
She's very Christian. She makes a celibacy vow, like with a ring, to wait until marriage. But then she meets this guy, and they hit it off because they're both in the celibacy group, I guess, or whatever.
Celibacy support group.
Yeah. But then they start falling for each other and teenage hormones and shit. And then stuff happens, and then she finds out that she has teeth in her vagina, her south mouth.
Content warning before we get started on this movie for
Sure.
Lots of sexual assault.
Lots of sexual assault.
Yeah, don't watch this movie if you don't want to watch someone get repeatedly sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
That's the gag, folks.
Yep.
It's
That's
literally
why I don't like this movie.
the gag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was not something because we were just watching it to watch dicks get bit off, I guess, the first time, and then we got that. We didn't, I guess, it didn't register to me how, fucked up that was. As a premise. Or, it was, but I guess I kind of chalked it up to, well, it's a horror movie. But it doesn't handle it in a way that I think is good for any movie to handle that premise.
And it has the whole, the incest plot line, which is played straight.
Weird.
It's not even played humorously, which was maybe part of the joke, but it just felt like, it felt like an unfunny comedian trying to make weird stuff. It did feel like a bad open mic, honestly.
It felt okay, where's the punchline? When is the joke coming? When is the redeeming...
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When is all this terrible shit gonna add up to, a worthwhile joke or chuckle,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it never did. It was just kind of disgusting and graphic, and I didn't like it, because it felt like a lot of build-up for nothing.
It did.
It did.
Was blue
definitely
balls,
does.
honestly.
Yeah.
And I remember being disappointed with it the first time I watched it because of how it ends. Which
we can say.
was
we
even worse.
It's from 2007. We can say it.
Yeah, it's from 2007. Come on. If you want to watch it, go ahead, pause real quick, watch this fucking movie.
Go quickly watch a movie about dentata vagina or vagina dentata.
Yeah. No, at the end she just apparently decides to lean into it. She's running away, and an old man traps her in his car and is being gross, and she turns to the camera and smiles she's so excited to get fucking raped by this guy.
Yeah, so that she can
bite
his dick. And I'm done with seeing women having to weaponize their sexuality and passing that off as empowerment.
Right.
That is infuriating to me. We see it all the time.
The strangest premise to me, and I guess I was young the last time I watched it, but I really don't know why it didn't stick out to me. That
I think
why would that be something that is that no, you still are enduring trauma from this stuff, even if you bite off the guy's dick.
It's not biting his dick off reverses all the psychological damage of a man overpowering you and fucking raping you.
Yeah, it's not it's the most ludicrous premise, and obviously written by a dude.
Yeah.
But I think thinking about how you were saying how you first watched it, you watched it in a group of friends. So I think that makes sense why you would have fun with it. You guys were wanting to have fun. You weren't going to pick it apart, I can see why you would.
I mean, I was definitely still a person who would pick a movie apart at the time.
Really?
Oh, definitely.
I was definitely in it for the dick chomping. That's why
And
I
there
wanted to
is,
watch
you know
it.
what? There is satisfying dick chomping at
There is.
several points.
Yeah.
There's some flopping dicks.
Yeah, there's one in particular where the sex in it starts out as consensual, but then becomes like she gets angry and bites off his dick, and that one's like they like just show it head on. It's like squirting and stuff.
Head
It's like,
on?
Fuck yeah.
Head
on.
Head on. No head. Haha.
Good one.
I don't know how I felt about like her having to reach a certain point before she bit it off.
Yes. Like, it almost had to be emotional distress for her to
Right.
get to that moment.
Yeah.
It was like, like for a second she knew like something's off, like I'm being sexually assaulted. I don't know. It just like reinforces that whole like thing that people would say like, well, if she really wanted it, then like it wouldn't happen. So like it made me kind of think about that a little bit.
Huh. Yeah.
It's kind of a fucked up place to go with it. Like,
Yeah.
it's entirely. I feel like you open that door when you start making a story about that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It did nail 2007 conservative Christian girl.
So much. She actually, I think she won like the best performance at like Sundance that
She
year.
did a great. If the movie was entirely dependent on her, I'd say A+.
Like growing up in a Catholic household, it was very like, you know, modesty and
Modest is hottest.
yeah, modest. Don't look at it like this is like your special
Area.
yeah, like your bikini area is special and you shouldn't be looked at and don't even think about it. If you think about it, it's bad.
Yeah, there definitely is like a point where it's given like a weird kind of tone because like at the very beginning of the movie it's established that she's had some like very early childhood
That made me
trauma.
very uncomfortable.
it's
Yes.
really bad. I think I like literally missed that the first time I watched
Okay,
it
yeah.
too because I don't remember that happening. I thought like it was the first time she discovered it was like as, you know, a teenager.
Yeah, her stepbrother sexually
Was
assaulted
trying
her.
to finger her or
And they're
whatever.
what, 5? Like,
Yeah.
young?
Very
She's
young.
tiny.
Yeah,
she's like
little.
3 or 4,
She's like 3,
I'd
yeah.
say.
It's
Yeah.
disturbing. It's disturbing.
Yeah, and for the movie to start out that way, it was really jarring, and it just made me kind of like, I don't know, like kind of be a little bit more reserved and kind of shut down a little bit. So I don't think I was as open to whatever fucking story they were trying to tell, which I don't even understand.
Yeah, and it puts like another perspective on like, you know, maybe why she's super conservative and like afraid of, you know, her body and sex
Right.
later on in
And
life.
they don't explore that, but that's a good point.
They don't at all.
They don't at all.
And I'm not sure like if that was there intentionally. Like I don't know. Like
Yeah.
you could say it was there intentionally, but I kind of don't think it was because they don't do anything with it.
With this one, I had seen this one years ago with my sister and we didn't like it. So I thought, let me give it a second chance. And I still didn't like it. But I was thinking about Elizabeth Banks' character in Slither and how she had agency and she had personality and you were interested in her as a character. And the actress is great for teeth, don't get me wrong.
Right,
But she doesn't have any agency, even with the dick chomping. You're right,
Right.
it happens just when she's angry. Her
Yeah,
emotions
she
are out of
absolutely
control.
doesn't. She makes like no decisions of her own.
She makes
in the
nothing.
movie.
Everything just happens to her.
Because
The
for her
movie
to-
is things happening to her.
For her to be kind of like surprised when it happens, right? Like you would think that it would be more like empowering as like a, hey, no, I don't want this, you know.
Mhm.
But it happens out of her control. She doesn't understand when or why it happens,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the part that made me feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah. And it's
Um,
the whole film.
Yeah,
It's just men doing it in different ways. It's a doctor sexually assaulting her. It's her brother.
Yes.
It's a guy, which this is weird. This part was really weird in the movie for me because it wasn't played as date rape, but the part where he
But it
drugs
is.
her, the one guy drugs her and she's into the sex and it's like, oh, she feels like she's cured. I'm like, no, you were drugged before you were then raped. It's just rape after rape after rape.
yeah,
after rape.
it's really jarring. And like distressful. Like
The fact that it's played for comedy too?
It's bad. It's painful.
Insane!
But the thing about this film that was bizarre to me, and I tried to find a retrospective on this film from recent years.
It was positively received.
It was
like it
incredibly
has
well
a
received.
good Rotten Tomatoes
It
rating.
does. Everyone said it's feminist, it's biting satire, shit like that. From this guy who, he's a dude making a movie about a woman and pretending it's feminist. How many female directors got passed off at that year? You know, I always, that bugs me, shit like that. I know that takes me out of, at this point, I'm not even talking about the film anymore. I'm just
Right.
talking about the general air that would be praised.
Right, but then also if a woman were to make a movie about a vagina having teeth, people would be like, oh, look at this fucking radical feminist and she's trying to shove her whatever, you know, but a man does it and a man does it poorly and it's well received.
Yeah, everyone said, I really couldn't find, I found a couple negative reviews, but there was nothing that's talking about how it was problematic from a feminist standpoint.
Right.
And that the movie was vapid and meaningless. No one talked about that. I mean, I don't expect a comedy to be completely deep, obviously.
Right.
But if you're dealing with that kind of subject matter, you're gonna have to address it well, or else
don't punch down.
Gonna suck.
Just don't punch down. That's what he was doing the whole
That's
time.
what the whole time, yeah.
I liked the red purity rings though, because purity rings are not red, so that was a fun touch, and I enjoyed that.
Honestly, all of it that had to do with like her like Christian sphere and all that, I really dug. Actually, like there's a scene where she's kind of, you know, she's just bit a man's dick off. And been sexually assaulted in the last like 24 hours, and she's out there trying to like talk to her, you know, youth group about purity again, and she's like not doing a great job, but she's like, you know, she's kind of like frozen, and she keeps everything she says, like the crowd is like repeating like Bible verses at her and stuff.
It's
like
terrifying. That part was fucking
it is
terrifying.
Yeah, it's like probably the only like genuinely effective part of the movie to me.
Growing up in a conservative Christian church, you know, the things they would say to the youth group, you know, was exactly stuff like that. I mean, we weren't chanting things back like that, but, it was things like women give sex to get love and men give love to get sex. As a woman growing up in the church, I was absolutely sure that I didn't have a sexuality, but men sure did, and I only mattered in a sexual capacity as far as what they gave a shit about. It worked for me because I'm kind of ace, you know, so like I was just going on my merry way. But it didn't, until I got out of it and realized like this shit's really bad and like really harmful. And especially if there are women that are, are growing up in that and they've been molested or they've been assaulted, and then to feel that feels like shit anyway. Mm-hmm. You don't need also then religious guilt on top of that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I liked that, and I wish that had been explored more.
That should have been the concept, and it could have been done well. It could have been funny, and it could have been deep.
Let's have another go at vagina.
The world is
dentata.
ready.
Yeah, the world is ready for, I don't know,
for a dick-eating vagina.
Yeah.
From a female
I'm ready. I'm ready to see some more dicks get bit off. I'm ready.
I want to see the tooth vag.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be very interesting.
Yeah, she looked in the mirror, but I didn't get to see what was in the mirror.
Yeah. No, and also this is a weird thing, but like the tooth, it would bite it, and then it would just spit it out. Like, what if it?
What is the mechanism?
The dick? You know what I mean?
No, I want her to have a jar full of like dicks that she keeps as trophies, like in the formaldehyde jar.
It's 2020.
We're stealing it now. It's 2020. It's time for another.
Scriptwriters, directors.
Yeah. We'll definitely talk about your movie if you make one.
Yes. I just want to say I wouldn't clean vagina teeth. I wouldn't go down there with my instruments.
I think that's the plot. The plot is a young dental hygienist either has the vagina dentata or has to... her friend has it or something.
Her friend is like an OBGYN. She's like, let me look at it.
Oh my god. And I'm like, do we have the floss down there too?
I want to see the flossing scene.
The water pick.
After she bites a dick off and she's like flossing down there.
Yeah, she's like, can't get a cavity.
This is amazing.
This podcast is going to get an NC-17 rating.
My gosh.
We're talking about a dick biting movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
How else it could have gone.
I'll put it in the description.
Trigger warning, dick biting.
Yeah, trigger warning. Vaginas with teeth and then a lot of talk about it.
What if your vagina doesn't have teeth, but the baby inside of you is evil?
Good segue.
What if you were pregnant, but the baby had, like, bad vibes?
Bad vibes,
and
baby.
And a terrible voice.
And a terrible voice. I was really upset by the baby.
Oh my god.
So, we're going to talk about Prevenge now, which I don't even know if I'm saying it. Prevenge?
No, I think it's Prevenge. Is it Prevenge? I don't know.
You say it like revenge, not revenge.
Revenge.
Not unless you're Nathan Fillion and Slither.
I'm really sorry about your loss, and I know it's been very difficult for you. And at the end of the day, you've got this force of nature now inside you. Baby knows what to do. Baby will tell you what to do. It's just nature's way.
think nature's a bit of an arse, though, don't you?
Prevenge is a story about a woman who is pregnant. She doesn't have her partner anymore, which we find out more about. But the baby is starting to talk to her, and the baby makes her kill people, or the baby will kill her.
I don't know if it's even that the baby will kill her. It's just that she's guilting the mom, into doing it.
She's like manipulative.
Yeah, but
so this
toxic baby.
Yeah, toxic infancy. So the spoiler part of this movie is that she's going around killing the people that the baby's dad went on a climbing trip with, and in order to save the majority of the people, they have to cut the baby daddy's rope so he dies. So the baby is like, my dad's dead, we need to kill all these people.
Yeah, she's got like a hit list
Mm-hmm.
that she's going around.
I love her journal, her kill list journal.
The first thing that I really laughed at was like she's on the bus with her like evil baby journal.
And she's
so
like,
it's, her like murder scrapbook that like the person across from her is looking at her like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
And she does like a giant check, like, this person's dead.
Yeah, that's really funny. I liked that. One of the cool things too about this film that's important to mention is that it's the director, the writer, and the star are the same person.
Right.
And so the director, Alice Lowe, was pregnant while filming, was pregnant while writing.
I was gonna say, like, the belly looked really good, so she was actually...
Yeah, she was actually pregnant. Yeah. I think they shot the movie in, like, 11 days. 11 days? It was, like, very, really rushed production schedule. I mean, it makes sense she got the whole thing done, like, while she was pregnant, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That also, I think, to me, explains some of, like, the production value in the movie, because I kept, like, looking at various shots and being like, what was their budget for this? But it does, like, I think that's kind of charming in a way. I read a review of it that described it as shaggy in places, which I think is a fair assessment.
I like that.
This movie is rustic.
Yeah, it's rustic.
Yeah, most of the scenes are, like, her with one other person. Yeah. So it is very sparse even in that way, too. But she cranked out the script in, like, I think a week. Yeah. So she was pregnant, and she was 37, and she's like, what the fuck am I going to do? Is my career over? Can I work in this industry anymore? And she was like, fuck it, I'll just make my own movie. And I'll make it about this exact concept of as a woman being pregnant. Like, you know what I mean? She just took it and incorporated it into the film.
Do you think she's going to let her baby watch that movie? Because, like, as the child in that movie, I'd be fucked up. I'm like, cool, my mom was thinking about killing people when I...
Like, what?
Yeah. Like, I made my mom think about killing people.
Did that.
Yeah. No. That's not what I sound like.
The baby at the end, too, when she has the baby, that's her real baby.
Aww. Yeah. That baby wanted to kill people.
Yeah. But then you find out that it wasn't the baby.
It really wasn't the baby. The baby was just a baby.
Mom was crazy.
And she was just hearing this little voice talking to her in her womb.
Stop it, I hate it.
And this one, you know what? I didn't even think about this. Some continuity between Teeth and Prevenge. There was dick biting off in Teeth, and there was ball cutting off.
Oh, yeah. She does, like,
remember that?
Yeah.
Emasculate a man.
I found out with that scene that with the props guy or special effects or whatever, she's like, what do you have? What do you got? And he's like, I don't know, I have some balls. She's like, yeah, I can work with that.
She's
like,
they
balls. She just completely ran with it.
That's great. I was really excited for that scene, but I thought it was gonna be... Okay, so I got real, like, anatomical with it, and I was like, oh, she cut him in this artery that you have in your leg.
That was what Shannon said. He was like, oh, she got the femoral artery.
That's what I said! Yeah, I was like, that's the femoral artery. That shit bleeds out real quick. And then I'm like, that's a testicle.
Oh, nope, that's a ball.
Yeah, that's a ball. She emptied his sack.
She did.
Good job.
Yeah.
That scene was great. Very gory. I love it.
And he's such a piece of shit that you love it.
Yeah, you're like, yeah.
Oh my god, and he's like, I love fat girls.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yes.
I also had just watched Teeth previous, and so I was so worried about her for this whole time. I'm like, girl, you don't want to go to this man's apartment.
Yeah. But she knew what she was doing.
Well, and I like how her kills got progressively more problematic. So it started out and you're like, yeah, pieces of shit. She's killing pieces of shit.
And then the nice guy.
Yeah, then there's people that aren't pieces of shit, and you're just like, oh my god. And she even starts to kind of wrestle with it, where it gets darker and darker, and you don't know where she's going with it.
Yeah, where it's like, and she's like kind of wrestling. Well, she goes and talks to the one guy and she realizes that like it's not the venue to kill him, and then the baby's angry at her after she tries to leave. You realize that like she's not actually doing this like technically of her own volition. She really thinks the baby is like running the show.
Yeah.
And after a while she's like, no, I don't want to do it anymore, but the baby is making me.
Yeah.
I liked her conversation with the other woman, the businesswoman, the frigid businesswoman. I liked that scene because they had that whole conversation where she was talking down to the main character about how she couldn't hire her because she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And it felt very realistic. It felt very much like how that conversation would go.
I mean, I was just saying, I like kind of know someone who like has that attitude about like, well, fuck people who have kids because they're like making me have to work more, like, you know, at my job. And it was like, wait, really? You resent people for having kids because your job is like not treating people equally?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's definitely like the first few people she kills, you're kind of like, and
Yeah.
like that lady was kind of like, I mean, she sucks, but did she deserve to die? And then like, from there it goes on.
It just goes downhill. It gets worse and worse. Because the other Game of Thrones woman, that was a really funny scene. Because
it actually was.
She's trying to defend herself, and she's like the jogger, and she's like a real asshole to her.
And she puts on the fucking boxing gloves.
That was very
so
funny.
I was like, what the fuck? I was like, wouldn't?
Yeah, we were discussing it. Like, I was like, I mean, wouldn't punches hurt more without the boxing gloves? But maybe it was like, oh, this lady's pregnant. She's just trying to hold her off until the cops can get her.
But then she punches her in the fucking stomach.
Yes.
And she's like, my baby! And then she fucking kills her.
You're insane. I am a working mother. It is not easy meeting your kids' demands these days.
Sorry, spoiler, but
yeah,
you want to watch that. Like us talking about it makes you want to watch it. I'm sure.
I hope so. Sure. It is watchable. It is very
a pregnant
fun.
lady gets punched in the belly with boxing gloves. It's fucked up.
And she kills a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's true. There's some good gore in all three of these movies, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, body horror.
Also,
there are, Ariel pointed out, bath scenes in
Each
all
one
three
has a bath
movies.
scene.
Mm-hmm.
A contemplative, sexy bath scene.
Yeah, that's true.
Each one of them, they watch old horror movies.
They do. Yeah, they do.
Do they in Slither?
Yeah,
yeah,
they do, actually.
Oh.
That's the only one that I remember, actually. I think something that kind of ties it together, too, is, like, the loss of, like, autonomy. The pregnant woman is at the disposal of her baby, or at least that's what she thinks.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're at the disposal of the slugs in Slither. But also, Elizabeth Banks is kind of at the mercy of her husband, still right up until the end when she betrays him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the teeth. So, like, she has to deal with, like, her vagina decides when to bite dicks off and when to not.
Right. I mean, she tends to have no autonomy at all in that movie.
Right, and then, like
to begin with.
The religion aspect of it.
Well, and I thought a lot, too, with Prevenge about our last episode. Because a lot of stuff we talked about in that last episode was women who are bent on revenge.
Yes.
And how they kind of complicated the payoff. And this film makes you think it's going to complicate the payoff. And then it's like, nah, fuck you, I'm going to kill people. Like, it was a fun little end to that.
And it actually does use the old movie as, like, I looked up what that movie was, and I, like, can't remember the title of it, but the character that she's mimicking is, like, the Furies. Like,
that's what I thought it was. Okay. Yeah. So I found this great thing that she said when she was asked if she had an agenda when writing Prevenge, which whatever the fuck, that's a weird question.
Who writes a story who doesn't have an agenda of some sort?
She said to test people's boundaries in terms of what they'll empathize with. The biggest compliment to me would be for a 15-year-old boy or a 75-year-old man to say, I really cared about this female character. I felt like it was me. If people can identify with a cartoon fish, I think they can identify with a woman. You know, we talk about the final girl, and we talk about this concept of everyone having to identify with a female main character. And I like that she kind of tested the limits because this female main character was shitty and crazy.
Yeah.
But there were moments where that I felt like I could empathize with her grief.
Yeah, like grief affects people differently, and this one had to kill 6 people to do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. She got a baby for it. Oh,
Yeah.
I came up with the name for our version of teeth, which would be Revadge.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
You can't see Gaby right now, but she's like basking.
Like, yes,
She
give me the
loves
laughs.
Fuck yeah, Revadge.
Revadge!
I love it.
Revadge!
Revadge, baby. Well, I think that's gonna do it for us
Yeah,
today.
cool.
Yeah, if you watch one of these movies, or all three of them, hopefully, and you want to tell us about them, talk to us about them. We're nyfgpod@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and talk to us about stuff there. And Not Your Final Girl on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram.
You could DM us.
You can DM us on Instagram, slide in there, and talk to us about
Slither in
vagina
there?
teeth. Slither in there.
Slither into our
Talk to us
DMs.
about the Slithers.
Mm-hmm.
At NYFGPod on Instagram.
Mhm. And
NYFGPod
Twitter.
on Twitter. You could also DM us to talk to us about this stuff, to talk about any movie we've previously talked about. If you want to talk about your early horror experiences or favorite horror movies, just talk to us.
Or if you have like a
Yes.
topic that you think you'd like to hear us talk about,
Yeah.
we'd be
We're
super
open.
open to that.
Yeah, we'll definitely do more horror comedy episodes
Mhm.
because, like I said, there are 1,000 facets of that subgenre.
So many.
There are subgenres in subgenres.
And if you want to talk to us on the podcast,
Yes.
and you live here,
You live
We
in
live here.
Bakersfield.
we really-
we can't handle the technical know-how yet.
Yeah,
I'll
you
figure
either
it
live in
out.
Bakersfield or are willing to drive out here and talk to us, then yeah, hit us up. Thank you to Claire Holland for our namesake, Not Your Final Girl, book of poetry, fantastic. Please check it out. She is Claire C. Wrights.
Claire C. writes, and she's actually starting a podcast
Is she really?
on romance books. I think it's called Sexy Books or something
Very
amazing like
nice.
that. Yeah, she's starting a podcast too.
That's awesome.
That's
So
amazing.
shout out
Listen
to her podcast.
too.
Yeah.
I've never read a romance book. I probably should someday.
I would just look at the covers and try to come up with a story when I was a kid. I'd be like, okay, I got it.
That's
I
a
think I
fun
figured
game.
it out.
That's totally.
We should
yeah,
do that.
It
Yeah.
is actually.
We should do that with horror covers of like VHS tapes.
Oh, can we do the
Yeah.
one of
Prom night?
We're
Prom night?
already doing prom night.
Prom
the other day,
night.
but like,
Everything is alright. That's its real theme song.
No, it's
oh,
not.
no.
We need to watch that one.
Oh,
Prom
shit.
night. It's a disco one, right after disco has gone out of style.
A disco movie in which Jamie Lee Curtis is cursed to become a knife.
it.
She's a knife.
It's
A
canon.
very terrified knife.
Does she float or does she have tiny knife legs?
Oh my god, I would
She
love
has
Jamie
tiny
Lee
knife legs,
Curtis.
and they're like, they run real fast.
Tiny knife legs is way funnier.
And they click on the ground.
No, little heels.
Click, 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 click. God, she's coming! Prom night!
A knife, no!
And it has like a spinny, like her, like an animated thing of her as a spinny knife, like, you know, like
Oh my god, like
between
jumping
scenes.
like Sonic.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I also wanted to make like the shing sound, like when she's running or falls.
Oh, beautiful. Shing, shing. Okay, that's enough.
That's enough. Wait, that's enough.
Oh wait, we have to thank people.
Yeah, we have to
That's
thank
enough for me.
That's
We're supposed
enough.
to be thanking
We went off
people.
in Fantasyland. It is Sexy Books Podcast, that's clear.
Sexy Books podcast.
Sexy Books Podcast. Give that a listen. Check out our amazing artwork by Gaby at Rabbit Foods on Instagram. Yeah, also Brian Demarest, who made our really cool other artwork that you can see on any of our social medias, or you can also get a sticker.
Yeah,
We have stickers
we
now.
have stickers.
Really art stickers. So if you want one of those, you could probably hit us up on our social media. We don't really have a place to like sell them or anything.
Yeah.
You just have to find us in person.
You
You
just
can stalk
have to,
us.
We'll send you a pigeon with a sticker.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to hit us up for those, and we'll probably figure out how to get you one.
Brian's Evil Flynn, if you want to follow
Brian is
him.
Evil Flynn on Instagram.
2
Follow
N's.
him. Also, thanks to Ariel for our really great intro song and outro song and transition song.
It's all the same song, spoiler alert!
It's all
Same
one.
song.
It
It's
goes
called-
all the way
it's
to the
called
top.
Under Your Skin. You can find Ariel on Bandcamp.
Yep.
At
There
Ariel
you go.
Dyer Music on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Pasperlock, did you already say
Yeah,
that?
Pasperlock for doing our really cool header cover art on Facebook, for giving us sound advice and also telling us not to do ourselves.
Yeah,
Don't do yourselves.
Don't do ourselves.
Yeah. Don't do yourself.
Go masturbate, watch a movie.
That's our...
Oh, is that our tag?
That's our tag.
Go masturbate and watch a movie.
Go masturbate